Hello to all my friends out there. Hi, you guys. Hi, I hope everyone is doing okay. So I made some black tea. I make 4 cups a day. I usually drink about 1 cup at night, and then that gives me 3 cups of iced tea for tomorrow. So I don't know about any of you, but as I have gotten older, I find it hard to look decent. So I'm straightening the house up, and I came across this photo of myself in the salon, and I thought perhaps you would look better with some bangs. Let's see, I was still working, so I'm 70, almost 70, so this is about 8 years ago. Time stands still for no one. So, okay, this video is food storage made easy. 3 foods survive the worst, live longer, and easy to prepare. So I'm watching these evacuations in Russia as the people are fleeing for their lives from a war, an army. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, you know, you don't have time for packing up your food storage. Maybe you don't even have a car. But if each person had a backpack, it would really help. Okay, so maybe you're gonna go somewhere where the provisions are good, maybe, or maybe not so good. So the 3 foods that I would pack up 5 pounds on the way out of town are beans, rice, and potatoes. And I know I could survive on that. Okay, 1 cup of beans is 4 servings. So these are not refried beans. Let me mix them up. So these are really easy to make. Here they are, you guys. So you might be thinking, how in this world am I supposed to survive on that? Okay. So, okay, beans, rice, and potatoes. So you're going to have 2 meals per day. The first meal is going to be rice and soup. So this is 1/4 cup rice, and I would stockpile. It's not too expensive. Here's 5 pounds. Maybe it's a good idea to stockpile better rice, and you could put this in a backpack. So you might be thinking it's too heavy. Really, how many of us carry 5 extra pounds around? I do. So we need rice and soup. Okay, here's how I made it, but this isn't the only way to make it. I just boiled 2 chicken legs in some chicken broth, and I added some chives. That's it. I didn't even put salt and pepper in it yet. So 1 meal in the morning is going to be, you can use chicken bouillon cubes and chives, or no bouillon cubes and make it the old-fashioned way with chicken. So okay, so let me see if I have a bowl, I don't have a big enough bowl. Okay, we're gonna have to use a real big bowl. Okay, so meal number 1. So number 1 thing is you don't want to go hungry, and you don't want to suffer too much. So I would just put my rice. You could make it in a little bowl. Oops, there's a little rice in here. I want to show you guys something. This is how you make rice milk. Just boil your rice down, and then you can dilute it with a little water. And then for the chicken soup, I'm going to take the chicken out, and maybe tomorrow I will make I might, you know, later on tonight, I might make some chicken sandwiches or something. Or I just might eat, I can't show you the roast beef because I ate it. So I might just eat the chicken at some point. So this is good because, you know, so I have some chicken, but it doesn't have to be chicken. It doesn't have to be canned broth. So meal number 1 is soup and rice. I could put some, I might as well. Let me put some, I have some right here, I think. Yeah, here they are. One of the best things ever to eat with rice is peas, so I'm going to add about, I don't know, a few peas. This is where your stockpile comes in. And then, so here it is. And I will just zap it. Okay, so meal 1, soup, any kind of soup. Maybe you want to have vegetable soup with rice. Maybe you want to have tomato soup with rice. So number 1 meal is potato, rice, and soup. Number 2 meal is 2 potatoes. So I had 3 small potatoes left. And so I baked them, but if it was some kind of emergency situation, I would boil them. So these are good cold. So from now on, I only had 3 potatoes left, so I have an extra one, 2 potatoes, and beans, a little bowl. It depends, how hungry are you? So no starving, no going without, no suffering lack. All right, this smells good. So number 1 is rice and soup, any kind. You can put more veggies in it if you want. And number 2 is 2 small potatoes and beans. So that's cheap. Okay. So I have 5 pounds of rice. I bought potatoes marked down, but I'm no longer comfortable. From now on, I'll buy 5 pounds of potatoes. And then the beans I used, I would say these assortment of beans would be the way to go. I bought these at Smart and Final, but any kind of beans you have. I'm gonna buy the big ones now, 5 pounds. I didn't pre-soak them because if you buy the little beans, can you see how little these are? And then 5 pounds of potatoes. So you can get by on this. You can make potato salad out of that if you want to. Almost forgot. And then if you want, what's wrong with this soup? This is good soup. I tried this one from Smart and Final as opposed to the one in the little cups. I find it to be good. Meal 2 is rice. Meal 2 is potatoes and beans. And you can have rice if you want it. Okay, for the beans, okay, the clear soup is chicken broth, onions and chives, and peas. Or it could be chicken broth with carrots, celery, onion, garlic, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Or if you have an assortment of vegetables, mixed vegetables, the can, you can have that. Or if you have some vegetables. Okay, now you might be thinking rice and potatoes. That is, rice and potatoes is quick energy, glycogen replacement. So if you use up all your energy, like that is why the bodybuilders tend to eat this stuff. How about this when I go, wait a second, cognitive function. If you are older, you might want to consider rice and potatoes. Rice and peas, that is good. The beans were, okay, go through your beans. Where did I write this? Go through your beans and check for rocks, my mother-in-law. Then wash them good. So what I did is I put my beans in warm water, and these beans looked really clean to me. I thought, I don't know if I have to bother. Oh yeah, bother. It was in warm water. I swished it around. The water did not look clean. I strained that out and I washed them again in warm water until they were clear. Then I have 1 tablespoon olive oil, but if you don't have any, it could be butter, it could be margarine, it could be lard, it could be shortening, any kind of oil. And then, so water, 1 tablespoon. And so I covered the beans about this far above the beans with water, and I brought them to a boil, and then I turned them down and cooked them until I got them. You can make these on the sides with your meals too. And then I put salt, pepper, and sugar. So this goes back to the rice and the potatoes, or the beans and the rice. Okay, so now with rice, okay, with potatoes, you can have boiled potatoes, French fries, hash browns. So you can have rice and soup, rice with milk and sugar, or rice with chicken broth. Okay, so now let's think about where we're getting broke, and say we were to eat this way a couple times a week. It's not going to kill us, plus it gives you a chance. People worldwide eat this kind of stuff, not so much in America, because marketing process, you know, causes us to spend a lot of money. If any, and this is black tea. So if you can stuff a box, you don't need the box, but some tea in your backpack. Wisely, the backpack should be packed up and ready to go. I'm trying to work on that in my car. So think about this. It's cheap, it's unprocessed, it's storable. It makes a lot. It's good leftover. You get peace of mind knowing you're not going to starve. No preparation. No complicated preparation. Think of pioneers. They pulled their food in a wagon, if you can, or how about a trunk? But the wagons were either pushed or pulled by people or animals. So you can have a small wagon. We should all have one of those anyway. And a box of tea. And then, if possible, 1 gallon of water per person. Now that is only enough for 1 day. Okay, now easy to evacuate. So think about milk. Okay, in milk, you get fat and lactose. In beans and rice, that's a complete protein. Bread as opposed to rice, either one is not significantly better than the other. So, you know, you could, depends how big of a family you have. I have also, and I will show you. All right, the thing about potatoes is you can grow them. And so you're not going to turn into a good farmer, but they do grow. And so I read, wait until your plant gets flowers. Now the one I have out in my backyard does have a couple flowers. And then the plants kind of start dying. And I pulled 1 dead plant out, and I mean even the original potato was gone, so I'm thinking maybe one of the squirrels got it. So I'm trying to grow soybeans. I'm not going to suffer eating this. If you evacuate and you don't need the food, maybe somebody else will. Okay, so now you might be going, well, what about fruit? I am endeavoring to grow raisins. I mean grapevines. It's been going on 2 years. They don't mature until they're 3 years. Around the same time, I gave my son a pomegranate tree, and it's producing pomegranates, but wild rabbits are eating them. So if I do, because in the ancient times, this is why there was like these battles over grapevine vineyards. So you can make raisins, but you can also make and can grape juice. Okay, the other one was figs. Okay, it turns out that you can dehydrate figs in your air fryer. You can also leave them in the sun, and you cut them in half, or you can set your oven at its lowest temperature, 200, mine goes to 160, and dehydrate them in about 8 hours. So I just wanted to mention that. So if you had a big bag of figs in your backpack, that would help. Okay, now I want to mention, all right, why stockpile, why bother? Revelations 18:8. For this reason, her plagues will come in a single day, death, famine, and mourning. And she shall be burned up with fire, for mighty is the Lord God who has judged her. So if you're living in a country that might receive a judgment, you want to be prepared as much as you can. So anyway, there's all kinds, but what is, for this reason, her plagues will come in a single day. That means you're not going to have a chance to run down and stockpile up. People say, oh, well, that's probably going to be a nuclear conflict. Not necessarily. I have started to stockpile these because you can be in some pretty nasty shape if the water goes out. So let's see, I wanted to mention, I keep everything. Oh, here's the 2 other, if you don't have chicken broth, these are good to use. But I saved my little boxes, so I had pretty much had everything packed in here. So I will be getting a 5-pound bag of potatoes. So rice, potatoes, and beans. Nothing wrong with a bean and cheese burrito. And some Spanish rice. Oh, I didn't tell you this, guy. I went through all this effort thinking up stuff. Okay, so now the thing about rice is like bread. So they say in the end of days, we could have a rice shortage. A lot of the rice is growing in places that have had heavy rains, but beans and rice, or like bean burritos. We've always had beans and cornbread, but what if you can't? Cornmeal is a lot more expensive than rice and requires a lot more cooking. French fries are perfectly good with ketchup. Have you noticed that some of the ketchup is getting very, very expensive? Have you noticed that the food is getting very, very expensive? So, a lot of us have said, wow, what if there's no bread? A loaf of bread for a day's wages. Well, just luckily I packed up. I want to mention my grandmother, she used to store 50-pound bags, and she used to put them in a metal trash can and just eat it until they were gone. It was mainly the thing I remember the most was it was at the time of the Cold War. A lot of people forget about the Cold War. The Cold War was vicious. And so my grandmother had a cellar. And so the idea is everyone would run to the cellar if, you know, we were nuked. So in the cellar, she had like military provisions. And we used to love to eat them, but now thinking back, they were pretty bad. But so, and she also had a well, which a lot of us don't have the luxury of a well. They also had irrigation from the mountains, which we don't have the luxury of. They stockpiled bread, flour, and coal to stay warm, which a lot of us, they don't even want us burning in fire. Like I would never burn a fire here because the fire situation, we had a fire yesterday. So depending on where you live, but most people could come up with a propane camp stove, and like a big container of propane is about $70. It's not cheap. One of my friends was really broke, and that was a big problem, is she didn't have any propane. So another thing is, I want to say about the food pantry, I'm not saying anything about the food pantry. I'm just saying they gave some potatoes, no rice, and so no beans, really. So if you have these three things in your house, and then if you buy some, I would buy hamburger, chicken, bacon, and sausage. Okay, you guys, I will see you tomorrow. Please like, comment, and subscribe. No starving, and God bless you all.